Alrighty. Wait, can you hear me?
Time flies. I jammed a bunch of food down my gullet.
Anyway, let me get my setup working so you can see me a little better. Oh, okay. There we go. There I am. Here's my Okay. There we go.
There. Oh, whoops! I put myself on mute. There he is. So, Lucky is fed and in bed. You got your. Did Lucky get fed and he's happy?
Lucky's fed. He's good to go. So am I.
I actually had a brief thought. I was like, oh, did I start recording? I did. Okay. I should have looked up the Ninth Amendment. I was like, maybe we could hammer out two in one night. We could do it blind if you want to read out the ninth. Or maybe you have a different idea come up in the meantime. I just
no, because I think we just talked about everything we possibly could about it, right?
We went through the cruelest and unusualist punishments we could. We did the whole gamut But what about some of those old England way tortures, like before? Do you ever hear about those things, like the torture dungeons?
Being drawn and quartered or dragged by horses?
Exactly. Drawn and quartered. Yeah. Just you tie. What was drawn and quartered? You meant you tie four horses.
I think 4 horses took each 4 limbs, and you went in the directions. Yeah, and you'd be pulled apart.
Well, something would be pulled off, and you would bleed to death. Maybe not, like obviously not all 4 of them, and some maybe you get like you lose a foot, or the rope kind of breaks your foot as it kind of or smashes your hand as it goes.
Yeah. Like the English, the Greeks, the Romans, and there was a couple of others came up with like the worst punishments in the world. I mean, and there was one I heard about the screaming bull. Do you hear about this one?
I heard one about the broomstick. What's the screaming bull?
This one was a brass bull that you put someone in it to light a fire under its belly, and the person would be put inside the bull, and the person would cook inside the bull, and you would hear their screams, and the screams coming out of the bull would sound like an actual bull. You know how a bull sounds?
Wow.
So it would actually be cooked to death slowly in a gigantic brass bull. So they tried it on someone. You guess who was the first person to be put in there? The inventor of the brass bull.
Oh, no.
Imagine being killed in your own invention.
You know what? Just desserts, I suppose. I don't know. Wow. Okay, the brass bull. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Like anything burning alive. I remember when it's a horrible thing just to watch people like set up branches. You know, I've seen movies or whatnot. Set up branches at your feet and they light it on fire. And, it takes a while to warm up, and then you get a blazing fire. Wow, that seems pretty horrible. Drowning, too. Oh, God.
There was the Iron Maiden, that thing that they have all the spikes inside. They close it on you, and, you'd be pierced by a couple hundred spikes.
One of the ones that stuck in my mind was, I heard it called something like the broomstick. But it was, like, just a pole, and you get lowered down onto it.
Oh, that's impalement.
Total impalement right up your guts and everything. It
goes up your anus. No, it goes up your anus. It comes out one of your shoulders. Going through the organ in your body.
Yeah, that one gave me nightmares. Like, serious nightmares.
It would take a while to die. Well, that was Vlad Tepes, Dracula. Count Dracula. Oh. He used to do that to the Turks when they invaded Transylvania. Yeah.
Really? Oh, my God.
He saved Europe from the invading Ottomans. So he was a national hero. You ever say anything bad about Vlad Tepes in Transylvania, they'll kill you.
Interesting. Hey, that could be a whole thing. I had no idea. I thought it was like, sometimes it was a real place, and Count Dracula was a real person.
Count Dracula was a real person. And Vlad Tepes, his father was Dracul. He was called Dracula, son of Dracul. The dragon.
Wow.
His father was a
Vlad
dragon.
Tepish? How did you call him? Vlad Tepish?
Vlad Tepes, yeah. Look him up. You want to look him up right now?
That's actually like that's one of those fascinating things. It was like I remember we fell into
Yeah, we
Yogi
did two
Berra
rabbit holes.
quotes. Now we could fall into
Yeah,
like obscure history. That's funny.
yeah, but he was the one who impaled, and impalement was one of the big. We talk about things that disparage people from doing things. That was one of them for the Muslims, being impaled.
Oh, for sure. I can believe that that's a pretty strong message. You do it a few times. It's like they did on, well, anyway, different. I saw it on, what was it, Game of Thrones. You know, they just put a lineup of like 100 people, like the bad guys, or the ones that were on the wrong side of the war.
Right.
They would do something terrible and post them up on the road into town. That's a pretty big deterrent.
They did that with William Wallace. They tore him to pieces, put his various body parts on the edges of town as a detriment to other Scottish and Irish, and it didn't work.
It didn't. Okay, yeah, and that's it depends who's coming and whatnot. That whether it's going to be a deterrent. Yeah, we talked about deterrent factor before. Anyways, but that's
if you want to see him that bad, you risk your life over everything else. So.
Yeah. But here, Vlad. Yeah, I got the Wikipedia on it. So Vlad Tepes.
He's 99% truthful.
Vlad the Third, commonly known as Vlad the Impaler, or Vlad Dracula, and then they go on into a little bit of the etymology of Vlad Dracula.
Bram Stoker based like 80%. Bram Stoker based a lot of his Dracula on Vlad Tepes.
Just that scary figure, eh? He was the second son. We're talking about 14. He was, I don't even know what that means. He was voivode of Wallachia 3 times. That sounds like king or something. I don't know what that means. Voivode of Wallachia.
Let me see what you're saying. I'm gonna look it up.
What
did you look at? Vlad Tepes?
It was. Well, it comes up as Vlad the Impaler on Wikipedia, but then Vlad Tepes, Tepes, also comes up this way. Vlad Dracula. But
Vlad the Impaler.
Okay.
Vlad Tepes, Vlad Dracula. Voivod of Wallachia 3 times between 1448 and his death. Okay, so let's see what they have it actually highlighted in blue. So let's see what. Oh, rulers of Wallachia. He's a ruler. Well, so Voivod must be their version of the word king.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's going to war with people.
Voivod Mero having heredity from Latin hereditas.
They know a lot about him, like his early life. He was an illegitimate son of someone, we'll say. The son of Vlad II Dracula. Mercia, I assume it's a woman. Yeah, because he's the illegitimate son of Vlad II Dracula. No, Vlad was second legitimate son of Vlad, who was the illegitimate son of. Okay, his father was the illegitimate son of someone.
He was young. He was young when he died too. Between 45 and 49. They got him pegged around that area.
Yeah, and that was. I don't know. I saw a lifespan expectancy. Like, if you lived past childhood, because so many people died in childhood.
Right. It was the normal life.
The average life expectancy, I think it was in the 40s, 45, 50 almost, in the time of Jesus. But if you lived past childhood, because the childhood death rate brings down the life expectancy.
Actually, they consider infant mortality mixed in among expected mortality completely.
Well, it depends. It depends.
So,
like if you say a baby boy born now I looked this up because I was wondering about having an old president. A baby born now, or did we look at? I think we looked it up together, didn't we? But a baby born now, a
I believe
baby
you said
boy
something,
born now in the States, I think his average life expectancy is 80 years old.
something like that. Yeah.
But when I was studying, back when I was studying statistics, there's these ways of calculating, okay, that's a baby boy. What if I'm a 20-year-old right now? How long should I live? And it would be like 81 years
Mhm.
because you already lived through some possible dangers. And then what if you're a 74-year-old now? What is your life expectancy? And generally, if you already lived through all those 74 years of dangers and diseases, you're probably already looking at 86, maybe 90 years old. I don't know. Like, well, like the two old guys that ran for president in your country. We
Right.
elect young people. I don't know about you guys. It's- Next president is going to be 100
Apparently
years
we
old in
do.
the States.
All right. So I was just looking at that. What you said. Um, at age 48, the average life expectancy is 31.43 years. So I'm 48. I can live another 31 years.
Yeah, that's the average. Yeah, something. Well, no. For what? Oh, maybe. Yeah, I might have got my numbers wrong. Maybe that's the Canadian one, and the American is a little bit lower. But okay, so yours right now is like, what does that mean?
79.
79 years old?
Yeah.
79. And it depends on family stuff too. Like, I've got a family that just doesn't live to be old. Like,
I'm
no one
sorry.
lives to be old. I have one grandmother, but she has fairly severe dementia since like 15 years, and she's probably
What's
90
the
now.
what's the average life expectancy in your family?
Is low. Like I have one of my grandfathers. He died the year I was born, so in his 50s, of a brain
51.
aneurysm, I think. Another grandfather was pancreatic cancer, so it went real
Oh,
quick. Um, then a grandmother went by dementia and then cancer, and my other grandmother. But then I have a few people they've had strokes in the family, a lot of brain
oh,
problems, and I already know I have brain problems. I have like a seizure disorder, so I just throw that into the calculation. I was like, you know what, my brain's probably going to explode sometime. I don't know how many days. I won't count my retirement savings until 80 years old. I don't think that's a wise investment. I think it's better to kind of either put it into some
I'm
savings
sorry.
bond for my kid or just have fun while we're here. You know what I mean?
Sorry to hear, Fraser.
No, it's fine. It's like that. What is the clarity? And I always said like these mathematics that I was learning, they give
Yeah.
you a little bit of a crystal ball, but it's on aggregate. And one of the things we definitely learned, it was like genetics is a huge factor, but a lot of places they're not legally allowed to ask you genetical questions. They can ask you kind of like vague
Okay.
questions about your
Yeah.
family history and stuff, but those are the most powerful indicators, or some of the most powerful indicators.
Of course. Yeah.
So to know that, it was like that crystal ball. And it was like, okay, well, now I know. It's not guaranteed either. It's not 100%. It's on
Right.
aggregate. People like me in this situation. Maybe some people live to 90, and I'll be a George Burns smoking cigars like, I don't know what the fuck happened. My doctor told me I should stop drinking whiskey and smoking cigars.
Jimmy, you
And
ever
he
saw
died, and
Joe?
I went to his funeral 20 years ago. Wasn't that a George Burns joke?
I don't know. I don't. God, I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. You expect me to remember
You remember
Joe?
George Burns, though. Like, he was just a
Of
super
course I
old
do.
guy,
Yeah.
always had a
Of
gigantic
course
cigar.
I
He was
do.
kind of a
Yeah.
small guy, too, right?
Yeah.
I remember him
He
saying
was.
that joke one time. He was like, my doctor told me to quit smoking and quit drinking. And I went to his funeral 20 years ago, kind of thing, or something like that, 10 years ago. I thought it was
You gotta
funny.
remember, my parents had me when they're in the mid 30s, and they were born in 1936, 35, 36. So I had the benefit of learning about all these old time actors and the new
Yeah.
ones. I know about all these people. But let me get it done. This is no joke. I don't know if you ever heard this one. Like a doctor sees you for gives you a full exam. I said, Mr. Fraser, I have very bad news. I said, you have dementia. You have dementia. So you say, what's the other bad news? I said, you have cancer. So at least I don't have cancer.
That's good. No, that's exactly it. I think you have to face it with the humor that it deserves, because that's just it. No, that's good. Oh God. And it will. There's just funny things that happen with people in dementia. It's you don't want to
Yeah,
laugh at them. I mean, they're changing and they're losing themselves, but there are
my best
definitely
friend's
humorous
father.
moments that, I mean, you take advantage. And for me, my mom
Well,
really
I'm
didn't
not
like
like
that.
humorist.
My mom hated that.
I,
She told me if I ever get to that point, put me out of my misery. Says
yeah,
I'm counting on you,
yeah.
Fraser.
No, it gets bad.
Just if it gets bad, pull the plug. Do it if you have snuff me out. Don't let me get so like for her, she's proper, so didn't want to be degraded or what is it called? Incapacitated so much, and not even
Yeah,
realize that you're walking around without clothes or whatever, something like this. Like she said, don't let me go like that. Kill me
right.
before I get there. Because
My
she
best
saw both
friend's
her mother and her stepmother, or no, her mother-in-law, go through that. You know what I mean?
my best friend's father had dementia, died of Alzheimer's disease. I think he was 18 months, 2 years. I think he had it. And he was like 70 when he was diagnosed. I think 72 when he passed away, something like that in that area. And his mother's still alive. His mother's well into her 80s right now, 85, 86. And this is the poor guy, passed away 3 years ago of cancer himself, only at the age of 44. So you never know. You never know when
Oh,
when
and that's
God.
just it. That's just it. If I calculate my thing, okay, I don't have 80 years, say I have 65 years. And then I plan to that and die tomorrow because I'm walking across the street, not paying attention, thinking about my 60th birthday party. That's yeah, you can never know. You just never know. And these statistical things, again, they're vague enough. They're amazingly predictive in that insurance companies. I remember when I was studying it, I came out and there was the World Trade Center disasters, and a lot of places suddenly. So it was like the biggest single loss in terms of insurance ever. The value of insurance that got lost that day. I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember. I think he claimed twice, like two different insurances, something like
I
this.
think.
And so it was like a huge insurance claim, whether it was one or
Yeah,
two, I can't remember.
it's
But
close to $1 trillion. I think it was right.
the insurance industry never went into the red. It always stayed in the black. An event that could not have been predicted, well, maybe, but it wasn't in the models. The fact
Yeah,
that the insurance, like they can predict so well and under extreme scrutiny, the actuaries are the ones that actually calculate the probability of death for a given cohort.
right.
They will sign off on their calculations, and someone can come in and review it, and they will lose their credentials. It'll be like a doctor in malpractice. You know what? This is what I was studying to be. I never worked in that, but that was what I was studying to be, an actuary.
Oh,
But
it's always
but it's
complicated.
very restrictive. So they have to calculate the probability of you dying, and within that, you're allowed to add maybe 10% profit to say that, okay, on average, you and your cohort will make it to 79 years old. So if we give you an insurance that pays, $100 a month or whatever, that's worth $100,000, we're allowed to charge you $110 a month for that $100,000 insurance. So that we make
Right.
$110,000, you make $100,000, we win every time, every
My
single time.
my uncle has an annuity that pays a certain amount. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure what it is. He actually bought it because he got into money. He's very bad at budgeting, so he wants something that would last his lifetime. They actually do the same thing. They calculate your
Yeah.
life expectancy against what the amount of money you put in to pay you every year. So let's say they guarantee you. Let's say you put $100,000 today. They guarantee you $1,000 a month until X day, would be down 10%. So let's say 1,000 months. Let's say would be 1,000 months, 100 months, right? 100 months. So they guarantee you 90 months.
Yeah.
And if you make it to 90 months, you break even. You die before then, they make more money. If you die past what they figure you're going to live,
They make,
every
yeah.
cent they give you is their loss. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
but annuity companies come very, very close too. I don't know their margin of error, but they can't have a very big one or they wouldn't be making money.
No, but it's one of those fields that it's illegal to add too much extra. Like it's not like banks. Banks can charge you 10% or can charge you 2%. But
Yeah,
when it comes to insurance and annuities, it's the same field effectively. That
yeah,
you're just allowed to add so much. And though I mean people cheat on it and they add extra factors in. Following 9/11, I remember there was a story came out and the insurance companies put in a factor to add in like in any city in the States, it became exorbitantly expensive to insure a building. They put it at like it's a one in a hundred chance that a
yeah,
plane's going to ram into a building, so you have to pay insurance for that 1 in 100 chance. I say it ridiculously like that, but you know what I mean? It was like
yeah, yeah.
there's probably not gonna, there might be a maybe statistically speaking another one might arrive in 10 years, but one plane per 1 million buildings, and yet they were putting the expected value at much higher than it could have been. But because it had never happened before, who was to call them on it? How can you
It
say no,
happened
that's
before.
not a real calculation, right?
It happened before. 1938, a plane flew into the Empire State Building.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but again, that's 1938 to 2001. Like we're talking once every
Right?
60 years. No, and maybe it could have come like in the next year was just this raining down of planes falling in every city. But
Actually, I'm going to look at the exact year.
yeah,
But that, it's a rarity. I mean, I think that the plane crash in 1945. I think this plane crash was an accident. The guy lost control of his plane. Yeah, he was
okay.
flying in thick fog. He couldn't see the building.
He couldn't see it. Wow, that's a big
Yeah, so
thing
that
to
was.
miss. We need some
And
good head.
it was a B-52 bomber, B-25 bomber. The Empire State Building, was built with so many redundancies
Yeah,
that it didn't collapse. Of course, there was major damage, but it wasn't structural damage. It was all pretty much cosmetic.
yeah. Redundancies are key. I mean, when you don't have redundant, we're gonna build it just strong enough, just strong enough. Well, a big gust of wind will put the thing down. Yeah,
And that was
redundancies
the
are a good
problem with the
idea.
World Trade Center.
Yeah.
No redundancy. There was no redundancy in the construction.
No, it was, and now they have the tallest building in the world. I hope it's strong. Don't you? Or not in the world, in the States. Isn't the New World Trade Center, it's
What's it called? I can't think of it now.
the one tower? Or,
Freedom Tower.
Freedom Tower. But,
Oh, I think.
anyways, yeah, no, but that's not,
Let's check something. Let me go to the bathroom. Hold on. Oh boy, what a stink. What the your ass? Holy moly! He farted! And the smell! It's burning my nose hair!
you thought it was a fresh
Yeah!
it was a fart.
Holy crap! I mean, my mother could smell it. She passed away 10 years ago.
Oh, it's terrible. Yes, yeah.
Holy crap! I mean, not even. Yeah. So, I don't know, is this some kind of check his head? Is there something wrong with
Well, yes. You know exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, no, I know they can put
Yeah.
out some good ones. Yeah.
I'm guilty of having a slight gas problem. I had two dogs at one time in my mid-20s, both sleeping in my bedroom at the time. I farted, and they left the bedroom because the smell was that bad. Dogs usually like that smell. They left. Could you imagine how bad your ass has to be to insult a dog?
Yeah, I got you.
Whoa. So, yeah, I'm guilty too. So, the Ninth Amendment, let's go on now.
The Ninth Amendment, that's right. That's right. How did we get right, and another 40? Oh, no, it's not 40 minutes. It's like, Ninth Amendment.
So,
I
moving
should put
on.
it up on this computer. Yeah. Okay, Vlad the Impaler to the Ninth Amendment.
Right. Okay, this one's confusing me, so I'm going to read it and we'll try to explain it. Get
Wow.
an explanation online. So, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. I have no idea what the hell that means.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know what enumeration means. Of certain rights, like not of all rights, but just of certain rights. Wait, what is going on here? I need the other. There was some of the other page
No.
that kind of stated it and explained it. Why is the Ninth Amendment? Oh, why is the Ninth Amendment bad? Okay, I'm just going to check out what this has to say.
Oh, okay. This is a Wikipedia, not a Wikipedia, but a question underneath it from Annenberg Classroom.
Okay.
And it said, because the rights protected by the Ninth Amendment are not specified, they are referred to as unenumerated. The Supreme Court has
Oh,
found that unenumerated rights include such important rights as the right to travel, right to vote, right to keep personal matters private, and to make important decisions about. Give me a second.
okay. I'm no. That's okay. That's interesting because unenumerated rights, but it says the words enumerated right there.
Oh, important decisions about one's health care, or body. So, I guess it's protecting your right to do anything you need to do.
Weird. Yeah, because against and
Travel,
we were
vote,
talking about
personal
like individual rights versus the rights of others,
myself.
and here it specifically
Yeah.
says or disparage others retained by the people.
So I can't keep you from flying. If you're an American citizen, I couldn't keep you from getting on a plane. That would be considered a civil right, protected in the Ninth Amendment. And you couldn't keep me from walking in the street, or you can't keep me from going to a certain store, or you can't keep me from driving somewhere. It's like basic
Hmm.
everyday rights that we take for granted.
Okay,
Sounds like that's
yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, so yeah, and that's what like this one. I don't know why they called it this page. That what's wrong with the Ninth Amendment, but
neither do I. I
but
saw that
basically it says
too.
what you said. It's like there's certain. So it says right here. So in plain language, it means that there are other rights that the people have that are not listed in the Constitution. So it's like those basic things, like you were saying, like just the right to travel. It doesn't say in the Constitution that you have the right to travel. It's like obviously you have the right to travel. It doesn't give that one here, but I think what you said was a good example. Um,
I think so from them. Don't. I don't have an original thought in my head, so don't call me
no,
on that.
neither.
But
I'm reading straight off of this weird looking.
yeah,
You'll see it on the video maybe, but it's a pretty weird looking page I'm reading off of. It doesn't look super legit, but it's kind of fun details.
so this is interesting. So
Wow.
that's
So why?
this
What here was? I'm going to read this a little bit because I don't have an original
is
thought either. But here, why? Why was the Ninth Amendment added to the Bill of Rights? According to Patrick Henry, PatrickHenryTeaParty.com. I don't know. Whatever. It was like the third Google search. Doesn't matter. Don't take it as super legit, but it's kind of a fun way that he talks. I don't know. So, the history of the Ninth Amendment. Why was the Ninth Amendment added to the Bill of Rights? After the Constitution was written by the Constitutional Convention at Philadelphia in 1787 and submitted to the states for ratifications, many voices arose saying that the Constitution did not sufficiently protect the basic natural rights of citizens. The Anti
ah,
Federalist Party, in particular, claimed that unless certain rights were spelled out in the Bill of Rights, the government would easily take over these rights and abuse the people. Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, and George Mason were all of the anti-federalist opinion. Were all of the anti-federalist opinion. Okay, they all agreed with the anti-federalist position. Sorry.
okay.
Anyways, so
That's
that
interesting.
was the history of the Ninth Amendment. Why does it exist? It was states' rights. It sounds like a little bit.
Sounds like more like individual rights and states'
It's
rights.
individual rights, yeah, but it was sort of like the things that we take for granted. Hmm. But they put something
Travel,
so
healthcare.
vague in though. This one doesn't seem specifically to. earlier on he says, what are natural rights? Maybe I could read. Anyways, I don't have to read this whole page. Could I have an original thought? I don't know.
Well, like traveling, healthcare, what I can buy when I want to buy, as opposed to they can't force me to buy something. Uh, I think yeah, basic rights.
There are
Like
basic ones.
I want to
Actually,
buy coffee.
well,
I want to buy coffee. Do I have to am I stuck with Folgers, or I got to buy Maxwell House too? I have a choice.
indeed. I don't, yeah, exactly. Like certain things you have the choice. And it's not like freedom of speech. It's not the right to bear arms. It's not
But those are
fair
enumerated,
value for your.
so that they don't count because they were enumerated already. These are unenumerated
Exactly,
rights.
like what it means. There's this other part here talking about
But
what
that's
is a
so vague.
natural right. It may, but it's well, there's things that you're saying. Here's a few more maybe. Natural rights in terms of this argument of this person. No, maybe even earlier. The founding fathers realized that they could not possibly list every natural right of human beings that needed protection. Instead, they delegated certain powers to the government that were specifically spelled out in the Constitution and said everything else is left up to the individuals and their state governments. So they
I'm
realized
on
that.
that.
Okay, then it says, what is a natural right? Natural rights are those rights that people have just because they are human. They are natural to mankind and should not be violated by the government. Oh, this is getting vaguer and vaguer. This is his own opinion on it. This isn't the Constitution, of course. So things like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom from cruel and unusual punishment were judged by the founding fathers to be natural rights that the government cannot violate. Wait, what? Okay, so those are the... Wait, no. So those are the enumerated rights. Oh, I'm getting all confused. Fucking thing. Those are the ones that are enumerated in kind of the first few clauses, no? Because they said cruel and unusual punishment. That's the 8th Amendment. Freedom of religion. That's the first. Freedom of speech. That's the first. Those were judged to be natural rights by the founding fathers. Okay. Natural rights, or like you... Oh, yeah. That's what you said it like as enumerated or unenumerated. I think that's a similar kind of thing, right? Natural versus unnatural. I don't like the
I'm
language
not
so
sure.
much. But I think that you got the gist of it. I think that's what they're saying, is that those extra things that you wouldn't see in those other first 10 amendments, they also count as your rights. But we're not going to say what they are here.
Yeah, but it's so vague. So what could it possibly mean? Like, the thing is now I'm thinking of this COVID. I have the right to work. I have the right to make money. I have the right to go out. That's all been taken away by COVID. Not COVID, but governors who think that keeping us home, keeping us away from work, is actually going to stop this disease. And it hasn't worked. Not to get into that, but they're taking away our rights to go out to work to make a living.
Interesting. That is interesting, because I'm trying to read that sentence again. So the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights. So again, the rights that we talked about already shall not be construed to deny or disparage others, so other rights retained by the people. So those enumerated rights shall not deny or disparage non-enumerated rights. It almost puts them, non-enumerated rights, the right to travel and these kind of things, above the enumerated rights.
Actually, it doesn't put anything above it. Okay. It just says that, like, I can't use my freedom of speech to trump your freedom of speech. I can't stop you from talking while I talk about some certain subject. Say we oppose on a certain subject. I couldn't stop you from talking about it. You can't stop me from talking about it.
Yeah. No, but that's kind of First Amendment versus First Amendment. Here, I think they're talking about enumerated, so it's like the...
First Amendment versus Ninth, like, I I can't use my freedom of speech. Or actually even better. Second Amendment, I have a weapon. I can't use my Second Amendment rights to prevent you from walking down the block. That's
Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that I would be stopping your ability to travel
that's
by causing
yeah.
you deadly harm.
I mean,
Right? Unless
yeah.
you want to bring harm to me, I can't use my rights to stop your rights.
That makes sense. Yeah, I can't use my Second Amendment or First Amendment to stop you from walking down the street. That so there is something of a hierarchy there, but at the same time, wow, that makes things really. I just like
No
it shall not.
hierarchy. Everybody's allowed to have. Let's say everybody's equal. Everybody's allowed to have a weapon.
Yeah,
So, like, we can't abuse that weapon to hurt others' rights, or bodily harm, or do something really stupid. And so the Ninth Amendment is protecting that.
yeah, like they don't have an amendment that says "Thou shalt not murder" or something, something like
Yeah,
this. But that's an obvious right of a person,
right,
something like that.
something like that. So
I'm
it's
just
very
gonna. I'm
vague.
trying
It's
to look
very
up
hard
this
to. I don't
because
know how it holds up in court. I don't know if it's ever been used as a defense for anything.
I'm just wow. Oh wow. Okay, they do. So I just quickly Googled and it's actually unenumerated rights.
You look that up?
Yeah, I googled it again. Sorry, because I was really getting caught up on that. Like, what are we talking about? And then again, whether in the language of the Ninth Amendment, it says that unenumerated rights, well, they exist as well. At least it says that. Whether they take precedence over enumerated, but yeah, unenumerated rights are let's start with this. Alternative terminology is implied rights, natural rights, background rights, fundamental rights. Unenumerated rights may become, I want them to give examples. They have a little thing here about in different countries: Australia, Ireland, Republic of China, and the United States. Those are the four examples they have of with unenumerated rights or the articles of the Constitution. So straight away they say in the states, well, actually that's their fourth example, but it's
They're right. I don't like this amendment because it's way too vague.
it's vague, right? So this is interesting. So the United States, the Ninth Amendment, the one that we just read, unenumerated rights, blah, 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 blah. Article 22 of the Constitution of the Republic of China guarantees unenumerated freedoms and the right of the people that are not detrimental to social order or public welfare. Oh, now effect in Taiwan. So this
Defined by
article,
communism, though.
it was like it guarantees freedoms and rights of people that are not detrimental to social order and public welfare.
Yeah,
It's
but
definitely
that's
got
defined on
that
the
last
communism.
part after the first part sounds a lot like the United States, but then they tag this other part on the
Yeah,
end that
that's
are
a big
not detrimental.
qualifier.
Sorry?
That's a big qualifier because under communism, like you can't profess freedom of anything because you don't have those freedoms. So you
Well,
would
it's
be
these kind of clauses that they would use. They would say, yeah, you have freedoms, but you can't do something that is detrimental to social order. You know what I
yeah, but
mean?
their
Like,
social orders different from ours. They want complete obedience to the state, and meanwhile, in America, the state has to obey the people. Doesn't work like that all the time, but
no, and people have the right to protest in the United States to a certain level. Of course, each side bitches and complains
of course,
when they get arrested, but that's the thing that's going to happen. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a different application. Anyways, that's interesting. So it clarifies it a tiny little
it
bit.
works a little bit, but it's not like.
Yeah.
How would you define? See, I would think that the Amendment 9 would define someone's civil rights. You know,
Even in this page, like they don't give a list of
well, it's
rights.
so vague. There
It's
was
so
an
vague.
incident. There was an incident where, while David Dinkins was mayor, um, someone violated somebody else's civil rights. So Jewish or black person telling I said I think it was a Jew telling a black person they can't walk down this certain sidewalk, violating his civil rights. That would fall, I would think, on the Ninth Amendment because there's nowhere in any other part of the Bill of Rights, as we've read so far, that says you don't have the ability to travel somewhere.
That's it.
This covers it, but it's so vague that violating someone's civil rights by not letting them walk down the block or going to a certain store they need to go to, it's very vague. I can't see, hard to defend unless you know exactly what your civil rights are.
But the other rights are what all the rights are. Basically, what all the rights are. Like, because we now know,
like the is covered unenumerated, so we know we have 1, 2, and 1 and 2 covered, right? Right, freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of self-defense. Basically,
yeah, sure enough.
So, but walking down the street doesn't cover those first 2. And from the other 9, from the other 8 or 7 that we looked at, mostly got to do with what happens in the courtroom. Like I can't incriminate myself, right to attorney, right to freedom from cruel and unusual punishment, right to a certain amount of bail, speedy trial, what have you. Those are enumerated, but not civil rights.
Yeah, the basic one, like you say, the walking down the street example, I think that's a good one. It's like, we have a right to do that, but it's not in the list that you just said. Like,
right,
it's not freedom of speech.
Yeah.
There's no freedom of movement, I guess. Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
Okay, that's a good idea.
That's in none of those other ones. But that's a basic right. That might be that kind of natural right. Yeah, that makes some sense. And so how to protect those, but that it's so vague. Like you could say, my natural right is to... Oh, fuck, I don't know. I'm trying to make up something silly, but you know what I mean? Like, it's to eat paint. I don't know, whatever. No. It's something so weird but I say that's my natural, that's what I don't know. You know what I mean? It's vague enough to impute anything in there. And then if suddenly, again, I'm still reading it again, the Ninth Amendment, it seems like it says that. Like, the enumeration in the Constitution shall not be construed to deny or disparage others. So again, deny or disparage other rights, in my mind, that part of the sentence, that are retained by the people. So the first 9 commandments, they can't be used or construed to deny or disparage these.
I want to bring up something really stupid.
No?
I want to bring up something incredibly stupid.
Okay.
Here in America,
perfect time.
It is illegal to possess drugs, but it's not illegal to be high. So I can do cocaine, heroin, pot, and go out in public. I can't have it on me, but I can be high in public. Now, would that fall under this? Because I have the right to be high. I have the right to destroy my body, but not the right to carry the drugs to do it.
Interesting. I wonder. The right to be high. Because, I'm sure people have...
I have the right to be drunk.
They eat everything really quickly.
I can't operate an automobile, or I can't operate heavy machinery, but I have the right to be drunk and ruin my body.
To a certain extent, I think, well, maybe it's just in Canada, but we have like kind of drunken, disorderly conduct. You can kind of get arrested for public intoxication if it's at the extreme. Well, you can be kind of drunk, like just kind of a little bit wobbly. As long as you're not peeing on statues and cursing off whatever, you know what I mean? But there are limits to being intoxicated in public, but I understand what you're saying, that once intoxicated, as long as you're not driving a car, as long as you're not operating heavy machinery, I don't think they can arrest you for just being that.
Well, they do. They arrest you for public intoxication. They put you in a jail cell, make you sober up. But it's not a misdemeanor or a crime or a felony by any means. They just want you sober before you go home.
But that kind of sounds like the Chinese one, no? Like but it doesn't, like you say, you're not actually committing a crime. But they're, what did it say again? Yeah, it was something about social disorder.
Social disorder,
off the page. Yeah. But like, if it's in the best interest of the community to get that guy that's screaming on the corner of the street into the drunk tank for a while rather than
Yeah.
pissing off the whole fucking neighborhood. Shut up, guy. We understand. You're pissed. You got broken up with. Go fucking home. But in the good, like, yeah, he's got his right to scream about his girlfriend on the corner, but fuck off. It's 4 a.m, guy. Go and sit in the drunk tank. You don't got any charges. You just gotta, like, sleep this one off. I don't know. I'm just saying, it kind of sounds like that communist one. No, I'm joking, but it's something about social order still.
It's a very fine line, though, because what if I'm drunk enough that I'm not wobbling, I'm not yelling, I'm just walking home in a basic straight line, walking home, excuse me, not bothering anybody. They don't have the right to arrest me. But if I'm causing some kind of public disorderly conduct, like I'm yelling, screaming, urinating in the street, like you said, passed out in the street, then I think, it's not a right anymore that you're violating other people's, especially like people don't get drunk 5 p.m, they get drunk 4 a.m, and they always cause some kind of ruckus.
That's when the ruckus happens, it's true. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, like, imagine 2 people, one that got just high or drunk, but you've had just enough cocaine and just enough alcohol. Like, you've had so much of each, but you're on this perfect balance point of being, the depression of alcohol and the high of cocaine. That you can walk in a straight line. You talk normally because the alcohol is slowing you down, but the cocaine is picking you up. You couldn't even tell it, but you were higher and drunker than anyone else in the city. But what the fuck is the problem? Like, you're not hurting anyone. You're hurting your own body, for sure, but you're not carrying cocaine. That's against the law. You're not... Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the problem? Leave me alone, right? Like, we can think of examples of public urination, but what if you're not doing that? What if, you're just fucked up, but not hurting anyone in society?
Well, I wouldn't whip my organ out to go to the bathroom. I'd piss my pants as I'm walking home. I wouldn't try to get arrested for that.
I've definitely taken some pit stops, that's for sure.
So here's even better. You remind me of alcohol and cocaine. There is, to get off on a tangent now, people mixing alcohol with Red Bull, having shots with that. And they're so drunk, they want to go to sleep, but so hyped up on Red Bull, they can't.
Yeah.
And so they're up for like 24 hours waiting for each effect to come off.
100%. Yeah, they made it illegal now in Quebec to sell the drinks that were alcohol plus caffeine. Because there was a girl that died. Yeah. She died of it. And they, and there was showed some other people died, but once a 17-year-old girl dies, I mean, laws change. But it was just that she'd had like 2 of these drinks. It's worth like 10 coffees, and they're already at 7-8% alcohol. And so it was just this like little girl drinking some really, and they tasted just like, well, Red Bull is kind of nasty to me, but it's just like drinking juice. Yeah. But you can have in 2 cans, like a 6-pack of beer plus like 10 coffees. I mean, that's hyper concentrated, not hyper concentrated alcohol, but it's more than beer concentrated and hyper concentrated caffeine. That, like you say, you're up.
It's not even that.
She had a heart attack, 17, something like this.
It's not even the actual caffeine. It's the ingredients that make the caffeine more like caffeine. It
more potent.
Hypes up what caffeine does. Like, you ever see a guanine in a Red Bull? It's one of the ingredients.
Oh, I remember something like that, yeah.
Okay. It increases the effects of caffeine.
It sounds like such a natural thing, too. I remember seeing it. It's like guanine. It's like having guava juice or something, right?
Yeah.
But no, this is.
But mixed with caffeine, it multiplies the effect of caffeine.
The effect.
I've read a story. Again, college student cramming for exam. This happened quite a few years ago. Drinking, I want to say 10 Red Bulls in one night, the regular size cans. She or he went into tachycardia. If you know what that means, it's hyper heartbeat. It's a very rapid heartbeat. Anything above 150 beats per minute, But not exercising is considered dangerous. She went into 300 beats per minute. They could not get her heart to slow down with any kind of drugs or mechanical means, and she passed away.
Okay, that might have been what happened to this one I heard about in Quebec. But yeah, they banned that thing. But yeah, like you say, that's cocaine and what is it? I don't know if there's an
That is
expression, but
the worst
cocaine
of
and
the
gin
worst.
or something. Cocaine and
Yeah, it's not
alcohol.
healthy to drink. One Red Bull a week? Okay, you have these bad days when you're tired, you want to quick pick me up. Fine. These people have been drinking like two or three a day,
Well,
and
that's
the
it. Yeah,
destroying
and
the
I think
body.
Red Bull is one of the least harmful ones. Like there was ones
Yeah,
Red Bull was something like worth three coffees. But you can get some of these ones that again, one can of not even the alcohol ones, one can is worth five coffees.
yeah, yeah.
Or plus the guarana no, the thing that you said, the
Well,
multiplier
yeah,
effect. I mean,
Ronnie and Reynolds.
I
I
drank
might
a
be
lot of coffee when I was
thinking.
in school, like in university, like a lot to stay up at nights, so
Right.
it would be many
Do you ever
coffees
do
in
a
the
coffee
day.
shooter? Do you ever do a coffee shooter?
Like the espressos? No.
No, it's you take it's like anything you do with alcohol. You take a little bit of freeze dried coffee, you put it on a spoon, take a spoonful of the coffee, you just put it in your mouth, take a bit of water with it, and just follow with the Red Bull or something. It's called a coffee shooter. It's like one spoonful of freeze dried coffee is a cup of coffee.
Hmm.
So not only taking a cup of coffee with a little bit of water, you follow it with a sip of Red Bull or something.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
cannot be healthy. But
And it
people have
just
done that to stay awake at night to study.
well, that's the thing about there's the weaker versions, like coffee itself, like old school filter coffee. There's a limiting factor to it that you can't just in 30 minutes drink four coffees. It's like physically
Yeah.
impossible to drink four coffees in 30 minutes. Just like, beer, like 5% beer,
You have to chug
there's
it,
a
yeah.
certain safety to it because you can't drink it really fast. Whereas I had alcohol poisoning on vodka, on
Oh, God.
peppermint schnapps. Oh, I still remember that one. Holy cow.
Oh, God,
You
Fraser.
know,
Kill yourself.
but beer, I probably had alcohol poisoning on beer. I drank too much beer and threw
It
up,
takes
but
a lot of beer, though.
but the hard alcohol I get there so fast.
Very
I remember
quickly, yeah.
someone dared me to like drink this big glass of vodka one time and just kind of plugged my nose and threw it down. But a big glass, it would
Well,
have been like, I don't know, 7 or 8 shots. But it was a
oh,
glass, right? Whereas
oh,
I
my
drink a glass of
God.
beer, that's equivalent to 1 shot of vodka. But I could drink 8 shot and try and drink 8 beers in 1 minute. It's impossible. But I could drink 8 shots of vodka in 1 minute. And
Yeah.
I was done. That was a horrible night. But you know what I mean? There's the concentration of the caffeine, as you were saying, when you just put concentrated caffeine on your tongue and then chase it down with more caffeine, which is hyper concentrated in that small Red Bull can. It's a recipe for disaster. But yeah,
It
that's what we're
is.
seeing is young kids having freaking heart problems.
Yeah, and there's a lot. And we're not talking about like even the cases of where you die in a couple of hours or instantly. Lifelong heart problems for it.
Lifelong. And it's important to say because I remember hearing, we're just going to stick on caffeine. This whole last section is just going to be about caffeine. No, but this is the thing about sports, um, like drugs in sports. There's illegal drugs in sports. There's legal drugs that you can take. One of the legal ones is caffeine. But they've shown if you kind of
Yeah.
starve yourself of caffeine, like these kind of different performance athletes, and then take caffeine just at a certain level at a certain
Right.
time before the sport, there is a marked increase in
Yeah.
performance. Like it works. You just can't have any caffeine in the weeks before, and then you take caffeine and run your race or whatever it is, play the game. It shows improvement without a doubt. One of the cases in Quebec too, I remember it wasn't the alcoholic ones. It was a kid that went out and just drank a bunch of caffeine during the day, playing soccer or something, got totally dehydrated, I'm pretty sure he died too because it was one of those
Oh
extreme
man,
examples. But he was that kind of thing that it is true that performance athletes that will be benefit and it's legal, but there's a danger. And there's a danger long term. Like you say, after 20 years of just pumping that really hard caffeine, I'm sure the liver, the I don't know what else is going to be messed up, right?
same thing with steroids. So people don't think that
Yeah.
steroids do long-term damage, but they do. Liver, heart, kidney, what have you. I would think that drinking a lot of caffeine would hurt your kidneys too. Not only dehydrating yourself, which is bad for the body to begin with,
Right.
but caffeine is a diuretic. It makes you go
Right.
to the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would, I think, the large amounts of caffeine that they would be taking, which will hurt their kidneys a lot.
It makes them
Close
work
down.
twice as hard. Yeah. Yeah. They
Yeah,
get twice as old, twice as fast. It's true. That's
yeah,
just basic math, right? You put twice as much liquid through it, it's going to filter all that shit through
right.
twice as fast as if you weren't doing that. Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. It's going to use it faster. So
I mean, kids, be careful with your
that's
body. You're not immortal.
no, that's it. No, and that's it. And I for certain thought I was immortal when I was younger. Oh, youth. Now I
Right, does
realize. Now I've done the
things.
calculations and I don't believe it anymore.
Oh, I don't believe it for a second anymore. My body's starting to break down.
It's breaking down day by day, right? Oh,
He's not at that age where we sleep when we just sprain something.
it's true. Oh yes, oh yes. I'll wake up some mornings and I'm like, how the fuck does that hurt? I was just
Right.
sleeping. I was sleeping and I got injured somehow, like my back or my hip or I don't know. Like it's just like, oh, why does that hurt? That didn't hurt yesterday. All I did was sleep, and now it hurts. Oh,
I remember when I'm sleeping, I remember to wake myself up fully so I can turn the right way and go back to sleep and not hurt myself.
mhm.
You know?
That's it. We got to start being more and more careful on this basic simple things. That's all right. That's all
Uh,
right.
Not easy getting old. The only alternative is death, so.
The only alternative is death. That's exactly it. And that's where we started. Did we start there? The
We
capital
started that.
punishment? We got to capital
Yeah, we started
punishment.
something like that. Yeah,
We,
that was the
oh, yeah,
second hour right there.
that was it. But exactly. The only alternative is death. What do you take? If the
Oh, the part
alternative
that was
is
in the
death
first hour. Sorry.
or the torture of growing old, it's not
And
the
it's so
torture of
sad,
growing
too.
old. We still got work to
Not
do. That's
to,
what you said earlier. We still got work to do.
yeah, we don't. But as a segue, uh, my cousin is 26 years old. He's seen so many of his peers die from drug overdoses, four drowning. I mean, he's got at least 10 to 15 friends that have passed away. His age from drug overdoses. I'm like, what are your friends doing?
That's bad. That's bad. No, there's gonna be.
Heroin. It's not like it's bad. This is like stuff, heroin overdoses.
Yeah.
And his best friend now has got cancer. He lost, he had to amputate one of his arms up to the shoulder for the cancer and spread to his lungs and liver. He's got stage 4 cancer
Oh,
in
that's
his
stage
body.
4. Oh,
At 26 years old, the doctor gives him 6 months to live, if that. So you
no,
can so
no. It's a good message. Stay off the sauce, and
yeah,
appreciate every day. No, that's it too. Like again, one of these things could pop up. You're 24 years old. You had a life expectancy of 80 years old, and this thing came and kicked you in the ass. And that's just not that I can
they
tell him
say
to
you don't.
accept his lot in life. I mean, that's just a cruel thing to do. But how would I deal if that was it? Tomorrow they said you got
You know,
6 months.
terminal.
You got six
Yeah.
months. What is my reaction? And I don't know.
Yeah.
I've imagined it, but I'll never know until until I'm truly there. I don't think I'll know how I would
Right,
react to
right,
that.
right. He, from what I heard, is not taking it very well. His impending demise.
6 months, not even like yeah, fucking 6 months. It's like you thought you had a family? No. You thought you had a career? No. You did all this? No. You had dreams? No. 6 months.
Thank
Just
God.
time to say goodbye to everyone. You know what I mean?
Thank God he doesn't have a wife or kids. Nobody to depend on him. So I mean, at least there's that. But it's terrible. I don't want to see the poor
But I
kid.
would want that. I would still have that desire. I still, I don't
Of
know. I don't
course.
think it's in my cards anymore, but I mean, that would be nice, right? But he's like 26. He didn't even get a chance to do that. Or I don't know. At least if you leave, it would be tough. It's true. It'd be really tough to leave behind a wife and kids. But at the same time, at least you leave something behind in the world. Otherwise, you get your parents to talk about you, or I don't know. But at 26, when you have no other, like me now, I've got, I don't think I'm going to pop out another kid, but
You never know.
when you're 26, you didn't even get a chance to try. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know. That's tough. That's a real tough lot. But as we said before, it's a different way of how to accept that kind of destiny. Anyways, be grateful for the years that I already had. 26.
Right? My best friend dies at 44, and he got diagnosed with cancer at 35 or 33. And I told him, he had multiple myeloma, by the way. I told him, I said, Rocco, this is his name, obviously, once you got this, it's going to kill you. It goes into remission, but when it comes back, you're gone. He says, I know. He said, I told him maybe you got 10 years, maybe. And he had 10 years to almost a year.
Almost to the day, wow.
Because he was in remission for about 3-4 years. And it came back. And the first time he got it, he went under radiation to kill his immune system. He did stem cell transplant from bone marrow? So he did that the first time.
Yeah, I've heard something about that. I don't know what that is. But yeah, okay, so they tried that on him. Wait, sorry, go back. That was the first time, or when it came back out of remission?
That was the first time he did it.
The first time they did the bone marrow, yeah.
And he said it was nightmarish. It was the pain, being uncomfortable. And once they destroy your immune system, you have to be in a clean room, otherwise a cold can kill you. So he dealt with that for a couple of months, went to remission. I think from like 34 until 40, he was good. He was taking drugs to keep him in remission, but the drugs themselves gave him permanent pins and needles in his hands and feet. Could you imagine feeling that all the time?
All the time.
And you lose dexterity. You can't, you lose this.
Yeah. You
can't do this anymore, right? So you lose that minute finger function. Pain all the time in your hands and feet. I think he was in pain every day until the day he died. And then when the cancer came back, like it caused his liver, kidney failure, brittle bones, anything you can think of. This is a shitty cancer, let me tell you. And he passed away. His body just couldn't take it anymore. He was fighting.
So from like 40 to 44 or something like this? That was the...
Yeah, miserable time.
Shitty.
I mean, how you want quality of life, you want quantity.
That's a whole other thing. I don't know if we want to turn it. We're already into third hour here. It was like the end of life debates. It was almost a similar thing to like what we were talking about, going back to the life in prison versus the capital punishment.
Right.
Should you let someone just say, no, give me just too much morphine, versus let them live in, sometimes, certain diseases, years of pain? It's a whole nother ball of wax, I know, but it was like, what is the minimum suffering? And again, if we're talking religiously versus not religiously, it's a whole different equation, of course. If it's like just earthly suffering versus earthly plus, burning in hell if you commit suicide kind of thing. Of course, that obviously changes the equation. You know what I mean? But if you're living on earth in just a torturous body, like your body is just failing you in every way and making you hurt all the time.
Well, what about people with Parkinson's disease? Yeah. Basically locked in a body that can't move, but their brain is perfectly functioning.
Wow.
Like Stephen Hawking. Trapped in his body for 40, 50, 60 years, and his brain was perfectly functional.
But he had some way of communicating, but it was
Yeah,
slow. It
computer.
must have been really frustrating. Like he has a super sharp mind, but he can
Yeah,
like type one letter a second by moving his eyes or
right.
whatever he had to do. Yeah,
See, I'd
but
rather. Remember the joke I said about at least I don't have cancer? I would rather have something that would destroy my brain. Because at least I wouldn't know I'm dying. I wouldn't understand so much of suffering, or I wouldn't be suffering as long. Because neurological diseases are quick.
interesting. Because that was like getting back to what my mom said. She was like, she wouldn't want that. She would rather, like, she wouldn't want to be in that just
Well, Fraser,
not
what's the
disrespectful or like
there's no dignity in death. There is no dignity in death.
no,
So
there's
your
no
mother,
dignity. Yeah, losing
for the
dignity. That was the
biggest
word I wanted to
amount
find.
of,
She would like hate to
she
lose
wants
dignity.
the most amount of dignity. It's hard to find that. I mean, unless she has a heart attack, aneurysm, or stroke and dies on the spot, there's
Just
no
quickly.
dignity.
And that's it.
Yeah,
Like the most dignity, maybe that's what it is the quickest death. But again, not if you don't choose it. Again, there might be less dignity in a suicide, which could be a quick death, versus an aneurysm. But I think that's kind of what my mom was like wishing for was like, I hope it's an aneurysm and not Alzheimer's. Whereas Alzheimer's is where you lose your mind, and sometimes there's some people with Alzheimer's and they get really angry and just
because
uncontrollably angry.
you get
Others
to that
are
point
fall
where
into like
you
a
want
happy
something.
bliss, like just they don't know what's going on, but they're happy. And
Fraser,
other people they don't know what's going on, they're really fucking mad about it.
people with Alzheimer's reach a certain, I don't want to say equilibrium, but a certain point where they know they have something wrong. They know they've
Mm.
lost some memory, but they can't figure out why, or they
Why?
can't get. So they get, so the reaction is anger. They can't,
Yeah,
they can't remember how to see, can't remember how to draw, and can't remember how to read and say they get angry because they don't know why they can't remember.
I don't know what I would go like. In my mind, it was just like the death penalty discussion before. I think that where I am now, what I'm thinking about, even trying to put myself into Stephen Hawking, even trying to put myself into an Alzheimer's patient, I think I would still want to live longer. Like if I was able to make the decision now and say, don't pull the plug, that's what I would
Right.
say right now. Is just I even that quality of life is some quality of life which is preferable to death. I That's where I stand now in the sort of I would rather Alzheimer's than death. I would rather a long life than an aneurysm, I think. I think I would. I
Right.
understand the dignity of an aneurysm, but it's also the abruptness. And maybe I would just be a kind of a weird, funny guy walking around naked with Alzheimer's. But still, I'm adding something joyful to the world in some kind of weird,
It depends on how long
undignified
you
way.
take it.
I don't know. I'm
It
adding
depends on how long
some.
you take it, Fraser.
Okay?
It depends on how big your dick is. You walk around naked, no.
I don't got a big schlong. I don't. It's true. That would also.
I don't want to know. It's just a
It
joke.
was. It makes it. But still, I mean, when you're old, I remember one old guy. He kind of like walked out. I'm like, he didn't care. He came to a point where he just didn't fucking care what the size of his nong was,
Well,
and it was
just
just
as an
like it was
aside,
refreshing. But it was like, and I was like, I kind of wish I would get there. That I don't fucking care how big you think my. Anyways, but yeah, no, I don't.
I heard, I heard Milton Berle had an 11-inch penis, and so does Jim Carrey.
Really. But Jim
Yeah,
Carrey, if you ever heard him talk, he says how
he's an asshole.
he was just addicted to fame. It was like the worst thing that happened
He's
to
an
him.
asshole. I can't stand him.
He wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Yeah,
He
he's an
has an
asshole.
11-inch member?
Could
Well,
you imagine that? I don't. Okay, let's not go to the crude side of the conversation.
but I think that sort of thing goes to your head. Like I always thought, I'm like, you know what? Maybe and I mean some of that runs in the family as it were, but it was like maybe I'm better not to have got the horse
That's
size
all.
member because it
Yeah,
would have gone to my head. I would have gone to be a porno star or be a really really full of myself kind of person that it took advantage of women. Like there's I could imagine that going to your head is like, wow, I'm something else. Look at me swing. You
We
know,
are way.
like there's something to not have that kind of, it inflates you to feel like you're just so much better or something like that. I don't know. Like again, I try and justify
Of
my
course.
lot in life, but it's just like, you know what? I'm happy with my lot in life. This is what I've got to work with, and that's all right. You know what I mean? But
The only thing that runs in my family is noses.
noses?
Get it?
Oh, I am that slow. It's like, wait, how do noses run? Runny nose. A runny nose. It took me like, let's go around. I got it. It was a thinker. It wasn't really, but it took me a while to think. Like 2 a.m. somewhere. No, but anyways.
Alrighty, let's get off this subject.
Okay, now the 10th Amendment? Are we on? No, I'm just joking.
I guess we'll save that for Saturday.
We did good. I think we got through the 8th and 9th. The 9th was weird. But
the 9th is really weird. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's too vague. I think they should make it a little more... what's the opposite of vague? Pinpoint?
Precise, specific.
Precise. Give specific rights.
Yeah.
What is covered there? Because it's so vague. Like, I had the right to piss on you. You can't stop me. Like,
yeah. What are and again, I looked at a couple different things. What are natural rights? What are unenumerated rights? It's vague. Well, I mean, apparently the Supreme Court has ruled on certain things, but it just reads really vague to me. I don't like it either.
It does. It's too vague for me, and I don't like it.
We'll see. Anyways, next time we'll try the 10th and whatever else comes up.
All right, so I get paid the same way the gas company charges you.
Exactly. You got to cut off like just after an hour. So it's like 3 hours today we talked. Holy smokes. Anyways.
I like these folks. I mean, these are interesting. I like these.
What's that?
So between this and the other one that you have, how long have you been on talking today?
How long did I? Oh, really? Yeah, no, but it was more. The other one was a lot of more listening. There was someone gave a presentation and I posed a couple of questions, but it was a lot more listening. So that's why I did over there, and I just have to talk because I spent so much time listening. But that one was an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, because it went almost to 9 o'clock too. Like I was texting, I was like, "Come on, guys, stop talking!" Everyone was asking a fucking question. I'm like, "I want to cut out. I got to cut out. It's 9 o'clock. Let's go, 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 go." Anyway, so it was actually almost 2 hours, and we haven't gone 3 hours, but yeah, we're into the third hour now. So
all right, so it's a good time to cut it.
This has been. See, we used to say something. I don't have any sign off or sign on anymore.
We don't sign on. We just talk.
I think it's better that way. Yeah.
We need an intro.
It's true. It's true. All right. Anyways, well, have a good night. Great to talk to you again.
You too, yeah. Take care, buddy. See you. I'll talk to you Saturday.
Yeah, talk to you Saturday. Thanks. Bye.